This is the VIP Podcast, Virginia in Politics. Let's listen to host Chris Saxman explore the personalities and policies that connect the Commonwealth. The VIP Podcast is brought to you by the VCTA, Broadband Association of Virginia, and Virginia Free. The views and opinions expressed here do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the VCTA and Virginia Free or our sponsors.
This is Chris Saxman on the VIP Podcast. Joining me today is State Senator Joe Morrissey. Joe, great to have you here.
Chris, great to be back. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, thanks. This show is brought to you by the VCTA, the Broadband Association of Virginia, and Virginia Free, of which I am the executive director, as you know.
I do know that. I know that for years you worked to expand broadband in the Commonwealth, and we're not all the way there yet, most of the way, and you deserve a great deal of credit.
Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. You know, Joe, I know your time is pressed, and I appreciate you coming on
Sure.
here. Big issue in your district, and over the course of especially after the election, since Richmond defeated, the citizens of Richmond don't want a casino, apparently, opened up a doorway for Petersburg to potentially get a casino. Talk about your effort to do that.
Well, you teed it up really well.
No charge.
The General Assembly created 5 casino licenses, and Richmond was one of 5.
Right.
All the cities held referendums. 4 of them said, we're in, yes. The voters said, yes, we want it. And by overwhelming margins, Richmond held their referendum last November, and the voters said no. Now, that casino would have been right in my district in Richmond. But the voters said no. I was disappointed. Sure. Many other people were. But you know what? You've got to respect the electorate. That's the decision. You run an election, you win by 2 votes, you respect it. You lose by 2 votes, you respect it. So what Richmond essentially did is said, well, we don't like the results, let's have a do-over. And that's not the way the system works. And so I represent Petersburg as well. Petersburg is in a prime location right on 95, like Richmond, 20 miles south, to have a casino. So my bill in the General Assembly will allow Petersburg to get that casino license. And once I put that in, of course, Richmond says, well, we want a do-over. And I said, and many people are asking, why? If you lose again, a do-over next year?
Right.
The next year?
Right.
And you just win by fatigue? And so it was interesting when we had the hearing before the Senate Gaming Subcommittee. Richmond officials came in and said, but we didn't get our message out correctly in November. And I pointed out right after that, well, you spent $2.5 million to $200,000 for the people that won. So you outspent them, 12 to 1.
Wow.
And you didn't get your message out. So anyway.
I think they got their message out. It just wasn't approved by the citizens.
It wasn't received by the citizens. And
No.
we can but that's how our democracy works. And I think it's really an embarrassment that at least 8 city council officials would say, you know what, didn't like the results, let's have a do-over. I wonder if those 8 city council people, if they won their election, say by a small margin, and their opponent said, let's have a recall, let's have a do-over, they'd be up in arms. Oh no, the electorate spoke, let's honor that. So, and that's part of our culture, Chris. You and I have talked about this before. We have a society where everybody that shows up gets a trophy. And if you lose, well, you don't really lose. You just do it again. Now, I'm all about picking yourself off the mat and trying again, but you do it in a democratic process. So
I'm sure the council, the city council of Richmond is very pleased with that.
I could care less.
I know.
They're acting in an amateurish way. They're not faithful to democracy and to our democratic process.
If I don't mean to put words in, but they're not respecting the will of the voters.
Well, that's exactly it. As my grandmother would say, spot on. The voters spoke. Honor it. I did. That casino would have gone in the heart of my Senate district.
Right.
But I thought, and I was disappointed Wednesday morning, but you move on. You accept it, and you start planning again.
Does Petersburg, the citizens, at least the city council of Petersburg, do they want a casino?
Both the citizenry and the city council want it, yes.
And have you done any polling to know this, or you just?
No, I've spoken to all of the city council members.
Okay.
And you're, as you know, I'm pretty good at feeling the pulse of the community. I'm on the down there in Petersburg all the time.
That's why you won that election in 2019.
You listen to people. That's what you do.
Right.
You don't sit home, dial for money, put commercials on the air, and sit back, eat bonbons. And instead of campaigning, you get out there and you listen to people.
Right.
And I'm down in Petersburg, even during session, 2-3 times a week, talking to folks. So I know what they want. They said that they want that casino, and they'll support it. And importantly, if you look at the casino legislation, it's to help impoverished cities like Danville, okay, like Bristol, the two in the peninsula area, and Richmond.
Because Norfolk and Portsmouth are the other two.
Yes.
Sort of 5 are Richmond, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Danville, and Bristol.
Correct.
Richmond said, no, you're coming in. Petersburg wants this. Let's do this. It will be on the ballot this fall.
Exactly. Petersburg is the next man up, and we're going to be prepared.
Any proposals that have come forward from any gaming operations that want to look at Petersburg?
Not written proposals, but the same players that were involved in the Richmond area want to be involved, down in Petersburg. And here's what's interesting. Richmond got the Casino 1, or One Casino, got the bid. And I called them Wednesday morning, the day after the referendum in November, after they lost. And I said, listen, let's try in Petersburg. And they were all about that. And we went down and met with the mayor.
Right.
And they said, and then at the end of our meeting, they said, well, we'll be the preferred vendor, right? And the mayor and I looked at each other, no, it's a competitive process. You put together your best proposal and the best person wins. They don't have the person who starts, in the Super Bowl is the best quarterback on that team, not the one that has an inside track.
That day.
That's sure.
Right. So, just came to me, did Richmond fail because they picked a casino and then had a vote because it became a vote on that particular casino versus the issue of whether Richmond should have the license or not?
No. Richmond already had one of the 5 licenses. The city council selected 1 of 6 proposals, and then it went to the city, the electorate, to determine, do you want a casino in Richmond? And the voters said no.
But was it because of that particular casino?
Oh, no. The people weren't dialed in. It's not like, oh no, we would have voted for the casino if we got Bally's or if we got the Cordish Group.
But it seems that they had something to look at and go, there was enough of them to go, we just don't want that. We don't want it here. We don't want it in this particular part of the city. Rather than saying, yes, Richmond, we support a casino. City council, go do your worst.
Yeah. So city council.
Was it out of sequence?
I don't think so. Okay. I think city council vetted. I know they did. They vetted 6 proposals.
Right. But should they have done that after the election?
Well, no. I think it's important for the people to say this is a group that's going in there. I don't think it made a difference. The people were voting casino yes, casino no.
Okay.
They weren't voting yes to a particular casino operator or no to a particular.
So what was the underlying negativity towards a casino? Why did people vote no?
It passed overwhelmingly in the African American community. Did not pass in the white community. Now, whether you want to say that's fair or not, that's part of the system. It's the way it works.
But there was no racial undertone.
I didn't see any.
But just so in the wealthier West End areas of Richmond, that's where in the North End, Ginter Park.
North side, yes, they said no.
Because they're not economically.
I'm not sure. I can't.
Was it economic or was it?
Well, I think part of it was that some people said not in my backyard.
Right.
And that extended to not in my city.
Right.
For example, in Northside, they did not want a casino in Scott's Addition. In the West End, they did not want a casino out there. And I think their no was more to not in my backyard. Oh, by the way, not in your backyard either in South Richmond. Quite frankly,
how did they do it in South Richmond?
It would have been great.
No. What was the vote in South Richmond?
They won it by 70%.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I campaigned for it. I lobbied for it. I debated for it. I laid it on the line campaigning in South Richmond, and we got it.
Right.
70-30. Was I disappointed? Yes. But I respect the system. I respect the way we go.
Right. And if we can just pivot off of the casino, because obviously well, let's back it up. Where's the bill?
My bill passed unanimously in General Laws Senate sub. It's now before House sub General Laws right as we speak.
Kim Taylor's bill.
Yes.
Okay. Similar bills?
Exact
same. Okay.
Yes.
And so your next step is full General Laws?
Yes.
And you're so far on the uncontested calendar. Any pushback from General Laws?
Haven't heard yet.
Okay.
But you've been through this a lot. You keep your foot to the metal on it, and you keep pressing until the governor signs it.
Oh, absolutely, without question. Seeing as you're coming from the majority in the Senate, you're the minority in the House, and people have been talking about openly that there are several swing votes in the Senate on the majority side. Yourself, Chet Peterson, Linwood Lewis, Monty Mason, perhaps. Talk about the inner conversation in the General Assembly about what bills that the governor is interested in that you might be predisposed to look at, because you've been on school choice. You've people. I talk about Joe Morrissey. I'm like, don't underestimate Joe's ability to agree with you, because he's an open-minded guy.
It's an interesting way to put it. Well, here's the thing, Chris. You look at what I'm going to support, and you say, where has Joe been on these over the years? School choice, check.
Yeah.
Against abortion, pro-life, check. Cutting taxes, check. So those issues that I've supported and have supported my whole life, certainly my whole legislative life,
I can vouch for
I'm
you.
right there. So it's not like, oh, I'll give me this casino and I'll give you pro-life.
No. That's not a trade you make.
Exactly. I mean, I've been pro-life since, I was a sixth grader at St. Michael's in Annandale, Virginia. I remember Goldman said something like that. He said, well, are you going to change your, voting against abortion in favor of the casino? I said, Paul, that's utter nonsense.
Right.
A pure poppycock. I said, I have been a pro-life Democrat since you've known me, and we've known each other since January of 2008. So what happened, this is how I vote. It's real simple for me. What's my conscience say to do? I don't vote on what's best for the party or myself, what's best for the Commonwealth. Now, it doesn't mean that
because I'll never forget. I will never forget the night of your election in 2019. We went to the party in Petersburg. John Fredericks was broadcasting that night, and you sat down and you said with a Cheshire cat grin on your face, I don't owe anybody anything.
Right. I don't.
How liberating is that now that you're in the Senate and are seen as a swing vote?
Yeah, it's very liberating. I campaigned. You know what's interesting? I'm glad you pointed that up. I was doing a radio show back during that primary before I got elected. When I'm running in the primary, I'm running and I'm saying I'm pro-life. Kathy Tran's bill that would allow a late-term abortion, wrong. Why aren't you Democrats speaking up? You would agree to take a life at the ninth, at the end of gestation, ready when the baby's ready to be delivered? And people are saying, oh, Joe, why are you saying that? You got a primary to win. Because that's my beliefs to my core, okay? So you're right. I don't owe anybody anything other than my fidelity to do what's best for the Commonwealth.
And your district first and foremost.
You got it.
And your conscience first and foremost.
Yeah.
Boy, I'd love to go a really deep dive on that in the direction of the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party used to have a lot of pro-life people, and not necessarily, zero exceptions pro-life. And we've got some bills coming in this year. Where is the dynamic in the Democratic Party? Because you won overwhelmingly in your district.
Yeah. I think
and it was a majority-minority district.
Right. People think you can't be a Democrat and be pro-life. Well, I am. And I am, okay? In a city that is overwhelmingly Democratic, Petersburg, I won 72% to 28% across the board. In every district, I won by at least 70%. There's 7 wards. So don't tell me that Democrats aren't pro-life. Okay, because you're speaking to one, and obviously people supported me. And
or it's not, is it just not the overriding issue that everybody thinks it is?
Number one, I don't think it's the overriding issue that everybody thinks it is, but sometimes Democrats get pigeonholed into, you can only have public schools and nothing else. You can't have private, parochial, charter, contract, home. You got to have public schools. I don't believe that. Okay, I've sent my kids to public schools. They went to public schools in Richmond. They're in public school now. But I think there's a basket of choice: parochial, contract, private, homeschool. Don't pigeonhole a child into one. That's why I believe in pro-choice when it comes to schools. And the people seem to say that makes sense. My positions on pro-life. Democrats across the region say that makes sense. I'm not going to vote against Joe because he votes his conscience on the sanctity of life, but there's no other pro-life Democrats in the Senate.
Well, what was the key to success in winning in 2019, Joe? You ran as
That's simple. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
That's so simple. People are much more, they want to see sincerity. They want to see conviction. I loved when I had my walking sheet. A lot of Democrats, they'd walk up and they'd say, oh, that's a Republican household. They look at all the Republican primaries they voted in. Skip that. Not me. I'm knocking on the door. Mr. Johnson, Joe Morrissey, what are you doing here, Joe? And then I'm talking to them, and here's what I would get 1,000 times. Joe, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a Republican, but I like the way you fight for what you believe in, and if I did vote, I'd vote for you. People want politicians that have convictions, okay? And
it's easier to follow.
Yeah, and
if you know where someone's going, you know where they're going, you can get behind them.
Yeah, it's like I said, what Democrat in the Senate, but even before that, was critical of other Democrats? Like, I was critical of Herring. I criticized him for waffling. When he's a senator, I'm against single-sex marriage, but then when it became important to run for governor, I switched, and I'm for it. That's not me. Listen, I'm not perfect by any means, but I'll tell you this, when I speak, I know I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. And I hope people will agree with it, but if they don't, that's okay too.
Right.
Because they have their opinions. But what when you get with Joe is that he speaks from the heart. And what I don't do is let me see what the poll says.
Well, you're never malevolent. Like Bob Marshall in the House for years, and Dick Black, there were two very pro-life Republicans. One got along with everyone, one didn't.
Yeah.
And the one who got along with everyone got a lot more done. And people said, I disagree with Bob on these issues, but I like him.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way in this business.
It's funny because one time Bob was asked at a dinner, he said, do you get along with any Democrats? Can you work with any Democrat? He said, I can work with Joe Morrissey because, and right now in the Senate, I look at the Republicans that I work with all the time, Richard Stewart, Bill Stanley, Siobhan Donovan, Todd Pulliam, up and down the line, Emmett Hanger. These are ours that I work with, and we get things done.
You talk about
it's not a sin to work.
No,
to work with people across on the other side of the aisle.
No, I think it's very much an asset. You talk about fighting for people, the conviction, the authenticity. I think you mentioned I don't know what the word you use for his authenticity is, but it's believable. You come across that way. Where does that fighting Joe Morrissey brand come from? Was it at a young age on the schoolyard, standing up for people, or are you just been scrappy by nature the whole time?
I'm Irish. I come from a big Irish family, and you better be scrappy. Went to Catholic high school, Catholic middle school, and we settled our differences, on the playground. We might get in a little dust up, as they say in Australia, but by the afternoon, we're best friends again, So I grew up, I would say, you had to be a little scrappy. I believe that I love competition. I think competition is good for this country in every area. And I'm not hesitant to fight for or stand up in what I believe in. I tell my kids, I've got 4 little kids, as you know, 4, 5, 6, 9. And I said, listen, here's one thing that you will always do. You will always stand up for your sibling in school. And if you ever ever see somebody bullying somebody else, if you walk away from that, you are equally guilty. You have to intervene. You have to stop it. And if the teacher said, and if it means that you're fighting to stop a bully from hurting somebody smaller and you get in trouble, I'll always back you up to the principal. So that's part of it. You know, I believe in giving people second chances. I don't like bullies. And, you know, so I don't know if that answers your question. The Fighting Joe's kind of developed over the ages, and, you know.
It's not a bad brand.
I don't like it. I don't mind it at all.
No, it's not. It served you well.
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah.
I remember yesterday, I was meeting with some people in the about the casino.
Yeah.
In fact, in the delegate's office, and there's this one guy there that had sent out a Facebook post 2 years ago, and he equated my wife to being repeatedly raped. So I'm at 30 minutes into the meeting, and I'm saying, by the way, put the things, did you write this about my wife? You know, equating her to Sally Hemings and being the concubine of Thomas Jefferson and being repeatedly raped at 14. Did you say that about my wife and indirectly my children? And he's, I asked you a question. Did you say that? And he said, yes. And then I got in front of him, you ever do that again? You ever say anything about my face? I'll rip your heart out. I'll put my hand down your throat and rip your heart out. Now, I'm going to stand up for my family. I'm going to stand up for my children. I'm going to stand up for my constituents. And some people that are listening to this now say, yeah, I like that. He's got convictions, or no, I don't. You know what? I'm too old. I'm set in my ways. That's where I am. I'm a fighter.
And always have been.
Yep. I mean, and the others, when I was in the House with you, you had the majority, and there's two things you could do if you were on the minority. Just mail it in, you know, not fight, or still fight for your convictions. And I did that every day. I mean, you remember my floor speeches and, you know, going up, you know, against Gilbert and the speaker. But it's part of the process. You just give your best every time. That's what you do. You show up in life. That's half the battle. The other half is giving your best.
Right.
And that's how I teach my children. You mentioned my two little ones, Chase and Maverick, earlier. I remember Myrna and I were at Chase's first football game when he was 4.5, playing flag football. And he had the flags on, and two things happened. We got caught from behind, and they took his flag. He cried. And when he didn't catch the person, he cried. And then he wouldn't give it his full the next series because he's thinking about that. Well, at the end of their first game, I don't know why, and I just said, he gets the Sportsman of the Day award. And both my wife and I didn't like it because he didn't deserve it. Okay? So we're going home, and I said, and I talked to him about that, and I introduced him that afternoon to suicides. We stopped at Kmart, got a whistle. We were,
okay.
You know, running 30-yard sprint.
So you have to come up with a new name for that one.
Called it suicides.
Right.
Suicide runs.
The sprint drill.
Yeah, the sprint drill. You run in basketball court suicide, you know, from baseline to center court. So we did 30 of them, okay? And I said, Chase, you never, ever give up in football, okay? You may have a bad play, don't give up. And I said, and your mom and I decided that award you got is going back because you didn't earn it. Now he's 4.5, almost 5. That next Sunday, we're going to the game, and he walks up, and I told the coach, and he said, Daddy, if I hustle this game the entire game, can I keep my award from last week? I thought that was interesting. I said, if you hustle this game, yes. And that game, and every game after that for the last 2 years, he never, ever lets up. He plays over in the East End of Henrico with the brothers, and they have position coaches for 6-year-olds, starting running back, starting defensive back. He's an all-star, and he's just one of the smallest players out there. He never quits. And
that's because you pushed him.
Yes, and that's where I think that's what you do in life. That's what you should do as a legislator. Never quit, never give up, have your convictions, don't shy away from them. And if people like your convictions and they like that, you know, fight, then they vote for you. And if they don't, which is okay.
Right.
It's okay, then don't vote for the person.
Well, and I guess that brings to a topic, because you brought up the issue relative to your wife and your family, and it brings you to the pardoning by Governor Northam. Describe that process. What led you to? I assume you applied at some point, and it just popped up at the end of the Northam administration. People were like, "Oh, Joe got pardoned."
Right.
Talk about that.
Well, the pardon involved the relationship between Myrna and I. And as you recall, Myrna had graduated from high school. She had been accepted to the governor's school, was in college. I met her at her doctor's office. We began a relationship. We fell in love. We got married. We have 4 little children.
What are the ages of the kids now? 9 to 5?
8. The 3 children that Myrna and I had together are ages 6, 5, and 4.
Okay.
And we also have a 9-year-old.
Okay.
And so these children, if you've seen them, and I think you have, they are happy. We've got, the children are happy, they're excited, they're healthy. And it was important to Myrna and I that the contributing to the delinquency charge and the misdemeanor that I was convicted of, that be pardoned. So for the rest, not for us, I could care less. You know that.
I know.
But for the children, we thought that was important, and we were very grateful for the governor to issue that pardon. It was submitted towards the end of 2021, and the governor acted upon it in December.
Okay.
And
describe that phone call. Did he call you?
Actually, his chief of staff called me and called my attorney, Servo, and said,
Senator Servo was your attorney.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we filed the application, and Myrna and her mother and her grandmother all filed affidavits, said this never should have been prosecuted. We fully endorsed and supported my granddaughter's relationship with Joe. And so the chief of staff called us and said, "Can you meet me in front of the governor's mansion?" We went out there, and he said, it's funny. I didn't plan on this. I had no idea you were going to ask me this. I'm bringing this to my office.
Oh, is that
this is actually the pardon.
Get out.
Yeah, that's
actually, I wouldn't have brought it up.
No, I had no idea you were bringing it up.
Because you brought it up, I was like, well, I got to go there. The man brought up
I happened to be bringing it to my office today, and I had it in here. He gave it to me, handed
Hold
it
it
to
up
me.
for the camera there. There you go. Joe Morrissey's pardon from the governor of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, pardon me on the misdemeanor conviction. And so Clark said, "Congratulations." And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Now go give your wife and those 4 beautiful children a big hug from the governor."
How'd that feel?
Felt great. People said, "Did you feel vindicated?" Not so much vindicated, but as, now folks are seeing exactly what it's like. And you mentioned the calendar that you saw. Did you see the back picture? The kids were standing, in the governor's office.
No, I didn't see that. I opened up just for the audience. You sent out a family calendar with pictures. I mean, it's a big wall calendar for folks, and
it shows the Morrissey family
a lot of pictures
calendar.
of your family. And I just the first one I saw Maverick. I'm like, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
Especially because I think you're more of a Maverick, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. And Maverick does things on his own. He did it in the womb, in uterus. He just did things his way on his timeline.
But so you didn't Maverick, name him Joe?
No, that I would never do that. That's too hard for somebody,
Really?
Listen, Joe Morrissey.
I named my son after one of my sons after my father.
Joe Morrissey is polarizing. I don't want.
Why is Joe Morrissey polarizing?
He just is. He's out there.
No,
okay.
I mean, he's not just is. You like a fight. You get in there and you like a scrap.
I don't mind a dust up. Yeah, and a lot of politicians shy away from controversy because in politics, it's the only industry where if you do nothing, you don't create any waves, you get reelected. But if you're out there and you're churning the waters and there's some controversy, that might prevent you from getting elected. I don't want to live my life that way. Okay, I want to be out there, and I don't want to play it safe.
Right.
And so I don't. We don't. I mean,
you're not leading a life of quiet desperation.
You saw the picture of the kids, they're tubing. I think I'm only successful when I'm pulling those kids and they're tubing if I flip them up in the air and turn them over. We have pictures in there of Chase motors.
You're not going to do the placid water moment. You're going to come under the tube and flip them up and see how they respond.
Well, it's funny. I had Chase and two of the girls and one of their friends on the 4-seat inner tube, and we come back and the girls are great, but Chase is complaining. We're not going fast enough, Daddy. He's 6, okay? We're not going fast enough, Daddy. So the girls all got out and I said, so you want to go faster? And you pulled your kids on tube. Of course. You go back and forth, and the fun part is getting pulled off, rolling off. So we're doing it, and I got 6, 7 kids in the car. Maverick is sitting right over from me. I'm driving the boat, and you know how you drive. Look, you turn back to watch the skier or the tuber. Sure. And I'm doing that. So I'm doing this, and there's some waves coming. So I'm navigating through the waves, okay? Maverick's right there, and he says, Daddy, Chase is flying. So I turn around. Chase weighs 40 pounds. It's a big, giant inner tube. Right. The air got underneath it. It raised it from on the water, not 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet. And I'm looking at 16 feet. Chase is up in the air. It flips over, deposits him on the ground. He's got his vest on. Mom wasn't on the
water. It deposits in the water.
On the water.
Okay.
On the water. And I come back. And he's so upset at me, and he's crying. I said, "What's the matter?" And he says, "It's not funny. You threw me on the water, and I, blah blah blah." And I said, "I think it's funny." And we were, and I said, "Come on, get back on, and we'll do it again." But that's just life, Right. That's I want my kids to never be afraid to take chances. You are successful in life when you take chance. What's that Matt Damon? Fortune favors the brave. Okay? That's how I want them to live. And the first thing though is they know this from the time.
But when you go out on the boat, do you set up and go, this is going to be a lesson, kids?
No,
you're just in the moment.
We're in the moment. We have fun.
It's not premeditated.
No. We're skiing, we're tubing, and then the next day.
But you're just when you're in the moment. You live in the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And but the first thing that kids know is the most important thing in the world is to be kind. It's number one. Everything else follows. You be kind. And then I want them to, I want them to live in the moment as well. Anyway, let me go present some bills to finance.
Lastly, how was Myrna with the whole tubing incident?
Oh, she wasn't out there.
Oh.
but I'll give you an idea of how she feels.
How would she have been with
No. Because last year we were getting ready to go up. I'm taking all the kids up to Lake Anna.
Sure.
And I was taking Maverick, who was 3, okay, up there, and we're going to go out in the water. And she said to me, you can't, I was going to put him on water skis, And you've seen my kids.
3-year-old.
Well, I have my 2-year-old on my shoulders.
Sure.
And she said, you can't take Maverick up there. He's only 3. And I'm looking at her, and she said, he needs adult supervision. And I said, I'm going to be there with him. And she said, no, I mean real adult supervision. And we have a video about that. So
that's fun.
So it's all good. It's all good, and
all right.
We'll live to fight another day.
All right, fighting Joe Morrissey.
Loved it.
State Senator. Best of luck today.
Thank you so much.
Bills up today.
I do have some bills in the Senate floor, but I have 3 bills, amendments in Senate Finance that I'm going to go down right now.
Well, we wish you the very best.
Okay,
and
thank
for
you.
Serving your constituents.
Yeah.
Best of luck. We'll have you back on and catch up over after crossover, see how your casino bills are coming along.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me. Like I said, it's a real honor to be on your show.
Thanks, Joe. This is Chris Saxman on the VIP Podcast with my new VIP friend, Joe Morrissey. Thanks for joining us.